On the day my husband's white moonlight returned to China, she started making trouble and dominated the hot searches. Today, her husband personally greeted her and sent her to the island. Tomorrow her mother-in-law will give her a bracelet that only the daughter-in-law of the Tang family can wear. Even my sister-in-law, who treated me like an ATM, changed her usual behavior and wanted to introduce me to a handsome man. It was obvious that she wanted to change her sister-in-law. Everyone thought that I, a Cinderella who married into a wealthy family, dared not speak out, and would either run away with the ball in embarrassment or be kicked out. I touched my pregnant belly and smiled. It's not my character to run with the ball, but I'm fine with being swept out, so I kicked out my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and husband. After all, this wealthy family is mine. Song Xinyu returned to China. As her name suggests, she is the white moonlight in Tang Xinyan's heart. And Tang Xinyan is my husband. The old love returns to China, and the eldest son of the Tang family buys a Pacific island to show his love in a low-key way. When I saw the news, I had just found out I was pregnant in the hospital. It only takes a moment to break a beautiful mood. Scrolling down the mobile page, the attached photo shows a beautiful island surrounded by the sea. Tang Xinyan is so generous. He had clearly promised to take me on a honeymoon at sea. But he postponed it for many years using the excuse that he was too busy with work. Now it is by Yue Guang who enjoys it first. I rubbed my belly and turned off the screen. Entering the Tang family's ancestral home, I saw my mother-in-law sitting on the sofa with a big smile on her face. But this smile does not belong to me, but to the magazine she is holding in her hand. The person on the cover is Song Xinyu, the eldest daughter of the Song family, whose background and appearance are enviable. Suddenly went abroad to study a few years ago. After graduation, she stayed overseas to develop her career, which caused quite a stir at the time. Now that she is back, various media outlets are rushing to report on her. When my mother-in-law looked up and saw me, the smile on her face suddenly fell. She looked me up and down and frowned. Lu Yiqian, you wear this when you go out. My outfit today is simple and casual. After all, when I'm pregnant, comfort is the most important thing. My mother-in-law is not good in every way, but the worst thing is that she always dislikes me. I have long been too lazy to respond to my mother-in-law's constant harassment, but my mother-in-law thought I was swallowing my anger. She immediately became excited, flipping through the pages, and soon held up Song Xinyue's interview column in front of me. Look at how beautiful and photogenic I am. My ancestors are foreign nobles and royal descendants. Only this kind of bloodline is worthy of being the daughter-in-law of the Tang family. Do you see clearly? You are such a bumpkin. What else can you do except bring shame to my family? Sister-in-law Tang Liu came down from upstairs and smiled when she heard this. Mom, please don't embarrass your sister-in-law. She pretended to be helpless and walked to my side, holding my arm. Sister-in-law, don't be sad. I didn't take it to heart and just nodded to get it over with. Seeing that I looked calm, Tang Liu left me in boredom and moved closer to my mother-in-law. She studied the magazine cover carefully, her eyes lighting up. Sister Xinyu is really beautiful and she's also very good at her job. When brother and sister Xinyu were together, we all said that the baby they would have would be very cute. Brother was so happy to hear that. After saying this, Tang Liu suddenly covered her mouth. She looked at me in fear and said, Sister-in-law. I was just saying it casually, don't take it seriously. I raised the corners of my lips and smiled gently. No, Tang Liu is still so brainless. If her pocket money this month is reduced by half, will it teach her a lesson? As for what she just said, I felt a surge of anger inside me. After being married for many years, I often mentioned to Tang Xinyan how cute other people's babies were, and I have expressed many times, explicitly or implicitly, that I want to have a child. He always changes the subject. With all the new and old accounts added up, he won't be able to sleep well recently. I had made an appointment with Tang Xinyan to have dinner at the ancestral home, but he had a business engagement and broke the appointment again. I left early on the pretext of feeling unwell and returned to my home, which was half a city away from my ancestral home. This house was bought in the early days of our marriage. At that time, I played the role of a good daughter-in-law and compromised every day. After I complained to Tang Xinyan several times, He chose a small villa with a good location and moved out of the ancestral home with me. Because he is considerate and rich, I am willing to continue to accommodate my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, and I usually act virtuous and gentle. I turned on the TV, and coincidentally it was Song Shin-yu on the screen again. I sighed in dismay. News reports said Song Shin-yu was elected CEO of the family business and took office on the first day after returning to China. I rubbed my chin, feeling something was wrong. The personnel arrangements are so hasty. Is there something fishy going on? Song Shin-yu on TV was smiling brightly. She had just been asked by a reporter whether Tang Xinian had really given her the island. Well, I have to emphasize that I can buy it myself with my financial resources, but you know, some things are better when given by others. She did not give a direct answer, but presented the answer clearly to the public. Tang Xinian is really something. He used the marital property to spend on his mistress and did it in such a high-profile way. Aren't you afraid that I will sue you to get it back in a minute? It was past midnight that night before Tang Xinian returned home. He had probably just finished a social event and was drunk, but he held on to me tightly. It took me a lot of effort to get him to settle down on the sofa. At just the right moment, his cell phone rang in his pocket. I took it out and looked at it, and saw 3 big words Song Shin-yu on the screen. Tang Xinian was woken up by me. He waved his hands sleepily, looking a little irritated. Then I'll be welcome. Sign Yan. Are you home yet? The voice on the other end of the phone was exactly the same as on TV, even gentler. I didn't want to be outdone, so I pinched my throat and said, "Here we are, he's already asleep," Song Shin-yu said stiffly. "Is it Miss Lu? Don't be so polite. What's the matter with you calling at this time?" Sign Yan drank quite a bit tonight. I want to make sure he's okay. Tonight, I raised my eyebrows. Bai Yueguang is really extraordinary. They met on the first day after returning to China. In order to meet her, you even skipped dinner at your biological mother's house. Thank you for your concern. He's doing fine. I also want to thank him for the gift he gave me when I returned home. I like it very much. Gift? That little island. I decided to check later what the island was worth. Please tell him that I am very happy that he can come to the banquet today to welcome me back to my country. So the business activity Tang Xinian mentioned today is to celebrate Bai Yueguang's return to China. The gossip triggered by Song Shin-yu's return to China is one wave more exciting than the last. I stared at Tang Xinian, who was sleeping on the sofa, and raised the corner of my mouth. "Okay, Miss Song, don't worry, I will tell him when my husband wakes up." "You," Song Shin-yu's voice revealed reluctance. She considered for a moment before continuing. "Thank you for taking care of him all these years." Is it her turn to say this? How shameless. I can't let her lead me by the nose. "I don't understand you, you know, he has always been cold and unapproachable. He would only restrain himself when I was around him." Song. I couldn't help but interrupt her and began to build up my emotions. "You know this circle, what's the meaning? I want everything. But I'm afraid you can't bear it." "Oh, you don't understand. Besides, I don't care." I interrupted her again, my voice becoming soft and coquettish. "He is so handsome and rich. It doesn't matter how hard or tired I am. I tried too hard to act young and I got goosebumps all over my body. As long as I can see him every day and be with him every night, I will be very happy and satisfied. I don't want to argue, because that would definitely play into the other party's hands." This was probably beyond Song Shin-yu's expectations. I heard her take a few breaths on the other end of the phone, as if she wanted to speak, but she couldn't say a word until she hung up the phone. I am really disappointed with Bai Yueguang's fighting ability. I took 2 large boxes of ice out of the freezer and poured them into the bathtub. The man was half sitting and half lying on the side of the bathtub, with the cold water covering his abdominal muscles. He obviously felt the discomfort of the environment, but he really didn't want to wake up from his sleep. I looked down at him, and my anger faded a lot. "You bastard, you will suffer if you soak in cold water for half a night." Tang Xinian slept in the bathtub until early morning. When his mother-in-law called, "Aichu," Tang Xinian sneezed violently. He was sitting on the sofa in a bathrobe, with dark circles under his eyes, and his overall complexion was not very good. "Ainyan, why don't you go home and spend time with Mom this week?" The mother-in-law was obviously blaming. "Lu Yiqian is also ignorant. if you didn't come, she wouldn't know to stay and serve me dinner. Tang Xinian rubbed his eyes tiredly. Looking a little impatient, why did you buy a house outside? The mother-in-law continued to nag. You only know how to waste money on Luiqian. I'll go back when I have time. Tang Xinian frowned and said, moving out has nothing to do with Yi Qian, it was my idea. He responded with a few hasty words and hung up the phone, turning his head to look at me. I still have to go to the ancestral home when I have time. Achu. He sneezed several times in a row. I handed him a tissue at the right time. Did you take a bath for too long? It's easy to get sick when the water is cold. Tang Xinian gave me a meaningful look and said, the water is indeed cold. There are even ice cubes in it. I looked innocent and well-behaved. How is that possible? Did you see it wrong? Tang Xinian curled the corners of his mouth and raised his hand to rub my hair. I have to say, his face is really superior. This kind of warm and intimate interaction almost made me lose myself in it, but I remembered the phone call from Song Xinyu, and my mood suddenly fell to the bottom. You bastard, haven't you had enough of flirting with other girls outside, and now you want to tease me at home? I dodged his hand. Song Xinyu called yesterday. I thought I would see Tang Xinian's guilty expression, but I didn't expect him to look like he didn't care. He still maintained that happy expression. And when he saw me dodging, he reached out again. I added, she said thank you for the gift and that she liked it very much. Tang Xinian nodded casually. He touched my hair attentively with a gentle expression. That's good. Faced with this reaction, I was a little confused and a little unconvinced. He will personally give the gift to Bai Yueguang. On our wedding anniversary, he was always busy with work and always asked his assistant to deliver the gifts to me. Just as I was about to ask about buying the island, my cell phone and his cell phone rang at the same time. There was an urgent matter at the company, and Tang Xinian always put efficiency first in his work. It took him less than 10 minutes to change his clothes and go out, and I received a call from Tang Liu. 2 hours later, my sister-in-law and I appeared in the mall. She held my arm and pretended to be intimate with me. This, and the row over there. Tang Liu pointed around the store proudly. Wrap them all up. She enjoyed having a group of people serving her and thought that this was the treatment the eldest daughter of the Tang family should receive. She went shopping today because she was so angry at wearing the same clothes as her classmates at school many times, so she decided to give her wardrobe a major overhaul. No one in school has as much money as I do. Tang Liu would be full of resentment whenever she mentioned it. Do they deserve to wear the same clothes as me? Tang Liu studied at an aristocratic college, where the tuition alone cost over $1 million a year. The students in this kind of school all come from wealthy families, but in Tang Liu's mouth they become worthless. As always, Tang Liu used my card to buy clothes, which is also the reason why she would ask me to go out every time she goes shopping. After all, in the eyes of my husband's family, I have always been a gentle and virtuous daughter-in-law. In other words, they all think I'm easy to bully. Just as I was calculating how much money I had spent this time, Tang Liu suddenly handed me her phone. Hey, sister-in-law, look, it's Song Xinyu again. The lingering Bai Yueguang once again appeared in the news with Tang Xinian, but this time it was much more serious, as the report was about the two companies joining forces to do business. Tang Liu has been observing my expression from the side. Sister-in-law, look how high-profile they are. I really feel sorry for you. I calmly handed the phone back to her. Seeing that I didn't react much, she hurriedly said, Sister-in-law, you can't give in. How about this? I'll introduce you to some good-looking brothers. You can also make my brother angry. He speaks shockingly at such a young age. I frowned and looked at her with a hint of disdain. Tang Liu didn't think there was a problem. Brother doesn't like it, then I have plenty of brothers. I can introduce you to many handsome guys. How can my brother, who is so fickle, be worthy of you? Tang Liu is a bad student on weekdays and often hangs out with a bunch of bad friends outside of school, or maybe I gave too much pocket money. I have to stop her from talking nonsense. Don't talk nonsense. This is just a business cooperation. Sister-in-law, you are so naive, I can't stand it anymore. In fact, my brother has been lying to you all along. Tang Liu looked worried and said, you don't know, do you? Sister Xinyu has been in contact with brother for many years, and they are so sweet. Does she know that this kind of discord is actually very crude? I looked at her calmly without saying a word. My brother went to attend Sister Xinyue's homecoming banquet yesterday, right? Seeing that I was indifferent, Tang Lea began to get anxious. Just think about it, my brother is so busy at work. How come he was free to attend the banquet as soon as Sister Xinyu came back? That's true, it makes me angry when I talk about this. The honeymoon trip has been postponed for so long. But by Yueguang has time. I pretended to be sad. Yes, Tang Le's eyes lit up. So, just listen to me, I'm tired. I didn't want to listen to her nonsense anymore. I won't continue shopping with you today. This time it was rare that Tang Lea did not force me to continue being an ATM. I hid in the corner of the shop and looked back. Tang Lea stood there. She dialed the phone with an ecstatic look on her face and said something excitedly to the person on the other end. Maybe it's because enemies often meet on a narrow road, or maybe it's because the circle where wealth and power are mixed is too small. As the young lady of the Tang family, I was invited to attend a charity auction. As a newcomer in the investment industry, Song Xinyu was also invited to appear on the scene. Many people looked at me and her with gossipy eyes. Before the auction began, buyers were invited to take a look at the exhibition area of the auction items. Song Xinyu and I kept a distance that was neither too far nor too close. I clearly saw her roll up her sleeves, revealing the bracelet on her wrist. The people around her were very supportive. Oh my God, this bracelet is so beautiful. Thank you. This is a gift from a friend some time ago. Could it be that young Master Tang sent it? Song Xinyu was shy and did not answer. Everyone started to make fun of it. The real owner is right here. How dare you show off so blatantly? Compared to Song Xinyu, my place seems much quieter. I was an unknown person who suddenly emerged and married into the Tang family after she went abroad. Everyone thinks that I have married into the Tang family. Recently, there have been rumors in the circle that I am about to be kicked out of the Tang family. Compared to the popular Song Xinyu, many people think that I am not worth making friends with. Nowadays, even mistresses are pursued by people. It really shows how morals are going downhill. I took a look at the people surrounding Song Xinyu and remembered most of them. The auction begins. Song Xinyu was quite generous and had already offered sky-high prices for several of her collections, but in the end she still managed to win the deal. People in the venue exclaimed and complained several times, the style is too high profile. I didn't want to make a fool of myself on the same stage with her, so I just took pictures of a few small things. After all, she is the young lady of the Tang family. And this is just a small amount of money. What if she is not valued by the Tang family? There were whispers all around, and occasionally one or two words fell into my ears. I didn't care and waited patiently for the last item to come on the auction stage. The finale was an antique jade artifact. The starting price was 3 million, and after several bids it had reached 10 million. When the price reached 18 million, I raised the sign, MS, Lu Yichen bids 20 million. All eyes in the audience were focused on me. Song Xinyu stared in my direction for a moment and also raised the sign. Although the jade is good, it is not worth a price of more than 20 million. I set the sign aside. After all, it's a charity auction, and if some people are willing to pay more, I have no objection. After the auction ended, there was still a circle of people surrounding Song Xinyu. MS, Song is really generous. She spent a lot of money this time. No way. Our Song family is cooperating with the Tang family. This auction is also jointly participated by the two families. After all, I have traveled all over the world for work in the past few years, so I have some experience. So Xin Yan and I made an appointment. I was responsible for the selection and he was responsible for the payment. This statement caused the people around me to exclaim in amazement, and they all looked in my direction. I was about to leave, but stopped when I heard this. It turned out that Tang Xinian was giving money to buy Yueguang to save face. His money is my money. Song Xinyu saw me and came over with a smug look on her face. Miss Lu, I'm so sorry. I raised my eyebrows. What? You seem to like the last antique very much. I didn't want to take away someone's favorite, but the more I looked at it, the more I liked it. I couldn't help but make an offer. Now that I think about it, if Miss Lu really wants it, I can discuss it with Xin Yan. It's not impossible to give the antique to you. After all, Tang spent a lot of money this time. I really despise the face of such a villain who shows off even when he is successful. I smiled and said, "It's just a small thing. If you like it so much, just take it. My husband and I don't need this little money, not to mention an antique. Even if it was the entire Tang family's assets, there was nothing I couldn't get." Song Xinyue's face looked a little ugly. She didn't plan to leave like that, and instead fiddled with the bracelet on her hand. "Thank you, Miss Lu. Speaking of which, the Tang family is really good to me. This bracelet was given to me by Xin Yan's mother, and the more I look at it, the more I like it. This attracted the attention of others. I recognized it. Wasn't this the one worn by the Tang family's ancestor? It has been in Madame Tang's hands ever since. It is said that the Tang family has a bracelet that is only passed down to the daughter-in-law. Could this be it?" The whispers of others reached my ears, and then I noticed the bracelet on Song Xinyue's hand. It did look familiar. This bracelet is indeed only passed down to the daughter-in-law. It was once worn by Tang Xinyan's grandmother, then passed to her mother-in-law, and then its whereabouts were lost. Now that it appears in Song Xinyue's hands, it means that things are not as simple as I thought. Song Xinyu was not satisfied with being a mistress who only took money. She wanted to replace me and took action. I wanted to see how long she could laugh. Song, do you know what it means to be unworthy of your position? You shouldn't take things that are not yours, so as to avoid getting yourself into trouble." Song Xinyu sneered, with disdain in her eyes. She leaned close to me and whispered, "You should say this to yourself. Xin Yan and I were childhood sweethearts. If I hadn't gone abroad and let you take advantage of the situation, he would have waited for me to come back. Finally, his true colors were revealed. You don't know yet, right? I have a date with Xin Yan tonight, and he won't be going back." Tang Xinyan really did not come back that night. I took a nap and woke up at 2 in the morning. The house was still empty. Tang Xinyan answered the phone quickly, and there was a lot of noise on the other end. "Hello." I felt a little better. "Where are you? Are you still working overtime?" Tang Xinyan hesitated for a moment. "Well, there is," before he finished speaking. Song Xinyue's voice came over. "Xin Yan, come quickly, don't make me wait too long." The tone was so sweet, it sounded like she was acting coquettishly. The experiences of the day came to mind. I was furious. "Tang Xinyan, what kind of overtime work requires you to stay up with Song Xinyu until midnight?" The environment around Tang Xinyan was very noisy. He seemed not to hear clearly and raised his voice. "What?" I hung up the phone with a gloomy face. At first I only saved Tang Xinyan's grandmother. At that time, I was still the attending physician of a tertiary hospital, and my main treatment area was a relatively rare disease. There were no more than 3 people in the country who could perform this type of surgery. Tang Xinyan's grandmother unfortunately suffered from this type of disease and was almost on the verge of death when I pulled her back. My mother-in-law and grandma don't have a good relationship. So it was Tang Xinyan who handled the hospitalization procedures for grandma. I fell in love with the handsome Tang Xinyan at first sight. It was just bad luck that I encountered a serious medical dispute. I was not the target of the medical dispute, but I happened to go to the department where the incident occurred. The other party brought a knife and started hacking and smashing things around frantically. I couldn't dodge in time and was pulled aside by Tang Xinyan, who suddenly appeared. But the knife didn't intend to let me go. Seeing that Tang Xinyan, who was protecting me, was about to get hurt, I rushed forward and snatched the knife. My hands were badly injured and there was no guarantee that I would have another chance at surgery in the future. My career was ruined. My grandmother made the decision, promising me that I would have no worries about food and clothing for the rest of my life, and asked Tang Xinyan to propose to me. She is an upright person and has fulfilled all the promises she made. Tang Xinyan and I have been married for many years. We respect each other and have occasional sweet moments. I thought this marriage could continue peacefully. I didn't expect that a white moonlight could easily shatter such beauty. I endured it before because of my grandma and Tang Xinyan. Now grandma has passed away, and Tang Xinyan is still entangled with by Yue Guang. I won't serve you anymore, not even one person. It didn't take long to draft a divorce agreement, so I sent it to the lawyer overnight. At this time, the cell phone rang. The caller ID showed Tang Liuer. Tang Liuer and his friends went out to play in the middle of the night and got into a car accident in a busy city. "Sister-in-law, come here right now. Why don't they let me go home?" I wanted to ignore it, but Tang Liu spoke to me in a commanding tone, which made me feel very uncomfortable. She has been pretending for too long. So today I will take action against her first. The accident scene turned out better than expected. A group of young men led by Tang Liu hit someone else's car. No one was injured, so they just had to pay compensation. But Tang Liu, who has always been wealthy, refused to pay this time. Not only that, she also threatened the other party, saying that she was the daughter of the Tang family and that if anyone dared to mess with her, she would definitely teach them a lesson. The person who was hit was not a pushover and called the police directly. The traffic police came and checked each of them and found that all the young people had been drinking. This group of people were still squatting on the ground, refusing to be controlled, because Tang Liu said that once I arrived, she would be able to contribute money and effort to solve the problem. She always looked up to me in such bad situations, with a smile on my face. I glanced at the half-grown children squatting on the ground. Tang Liu is so unlucky that he is the one who rushes to give me a knife. "Hurry, go and clean this up. We've had enough of this crappy place." Tang Liu urged me impatiently. I was indifferent and turned to the traffic policeman next to me and said, "I don't care about this matter. Just deal with the matter objectively. Those who deserve a fine should be fined and those who deserve to be arrested should be arrested." Tang Liu was dumbfounded. I didn't give her a chance to speak and turned away. Then, I picked a popular news account and sent it the overview and location of the accident. Tang Liu was driving under the influence and acting arrogantly, and this news became a hot topic overnight. The Tang family was ridiculed in various ways, and major entertainment accounts worked overtime to dig up information. Even the mother-in-law's previous behavior of buying things in a big way was exposed. People in the circle enjoyed the fun. My mother-in-law called early in the morning and was very angry. "Your food and drink expenses are all paid for by the Tang family. How can you be so heartless? If anything happened to Liu yesterday, I would have made you pay the price even at the risk of my life." People who don't know would think that I hit Tang Liu with my car, but judging from what he said, Tang Liu should have been saved. I stood at the door of my ancestral home and hung up the phone. I was accompanied by a lawyer who had worked with the Tang family for many years, and several tall and strong bodyguards. When my mother-in-law saw me coming in with a group of people, she looked confused. She was still upset with me, so she only greeted the lawyer behind me. The lawyer looked at me and didn't respond. Tang Liu walked downstairs at this time, and she obviously didn't understand the situation. I shook my phone and said, "Mother-in-law, if you don't know how to discipline your daughter, I can help you. She is such a grown-up, but her private life is not in good order and she does things lawlessly. She was lucky yesterday. They just wanted some compensation. If something really happened, do you think she could still stand here?" Tang Liu's face turned from pale to bright red, and then to livid. "What nonsense are you talking about? Who are you trying to scare?" I smiled and said, "I'm serious. If you hurt anyone, I won't let you into this house again." After hearing this, the mother-in-law yelled, "What a big mouth you have. What qualifications do you have to interfere in family affairs? You are just a lowly thing who married into the family for nothing. You should just listen to our instructions and do whatever we tell you to do." "Mom, take that back." Tang Xinian appeared at the door. His face was a little haggard, and his eyes were dark. "You must respect Yi Qian. Why is he acting as the big shot by showing up at this time?" I noticed that he was holding a document in his hand. It was the divorce agreement I had mailed overnight. "Since everyone is here, I won't be polite." I turned sideways and gave my seat to the lawyer behind me. "Mrs. Tang, your old lady made a will before she died, but only part of it was made public before. Now with Ms. Liu Yiqian's consent, the other part will be made public." The mother-in-law was very confused. "Why do we need her consent?" The lawyer exchanged glances with me and didn't intend to explain. According to Mrs. Tang's will, the ownership of the ancestral home and the Tang Group stocks under her name will all be inherited by Miss Liu Yiqian. My grandmother held more than 70% of the group's shares during her lifetime, and after her death, she left them all to me in her will. In other words, I have always been the largest shareholder of Tang's. Impossible. Just her. The mother-in-law looked incredulous and turned to her son for help. Anyan, take care of this bitch. She wants to seize our Tang family's assets. Facing her mother-in-law's constant pestering, Tang Xinyan's face was cold. What the lawyer said is true. The lawyer came over at the right time and showed the document to the mother-in-law. When the will came into effect, Miss Liu understood that you didn't like her. So she only changed the name of the ancestral home and stocks, and did not publish the complete will to the public. It was just for the sake of Grandma and Tang Xinyan that I gave my mother-in-law some face. I raised my hand to signal the bodyguard and said, "There is a limit to how good I can be. Since you two are so ungrateful, there is no need to waste my kindness any longer." The mother-in-law and Tang Liu had no room for rebuttal. I had expected that they would not admit it. So I hired bodyguards. If you don't give in to soft tactics, you will have to give in to hard tactics. These mother and daughter are not strong enough to resist both soft tactics and hard tactics. Under the urging of the bodyguards, they were forced to pack up their things and move out of the ancestral home in a mess. "You are not allowed to come back to this house without my permission." I stood at the door and smiled gently and harmlessly. "Mother-in-law, it's useless even if you kneel down and beg me. My mother-in-law's nightmare has just begun. The daily expenses of the mother and daughter all come from the group's dividends, and they cannot get a penny without my signature. Since Tang Lira has not been well behaved with me recently, her pocket money last month was reduced by half. She has less pocket money, but it doesn't affect her spending money lavishly. When the car accident happened, she didn't have much money in her account. So for the sake of face she could only show off her status as Miss Tang. I don't plan to sign this month, next month, or even later." My mother-in-law and Tang Liu didn't know how to save money on a daily basis, and they didn't have a penny when they were kicked out. I thought that Tang Sai would be angry with me, but he just watched indifferently as my mother and sister were kicked out without saying a single good word. After all, people are made of flesh and blood. I am not as heartless as Tang Xinyan. After all, I was still soft-hearted and rented a house in the city center for my mother-in-law and Tang Lera. The two-bedroom, one-living-room apartment of more than 50 square meters is far less spacious than the ancestral home, but it is no problem for two people to live in it. Although the house is small, the prices nearby are not low, which is in line with my mother-in-law's previous consumption habits. The most important thing is that all the wealthy ladies that my mother-in-law used to be friends with now live nearby. It's normal to meet on the road. In this age where materialism is paramount, one can imagine what the consequences of their meeting will be. In just a few days, the status of the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law in the Tang family was reversed, shocking the upper class. I didn't bother to care what others said and moved into the ancestral home with drums and gongs. Tang Xinyan came to me with a divorce agreement in his hand. "I don't understand why you're angry," he frowned, his eyes filled with anxiety and confusion. "No matter what, you can't use divorce to make a scene." Seeing that I ignored him, he left the divorce agreement and said, "Wait for me." I opened the agreement and saw that he didn't sign a single word. Tang Xinyan agreed to marry me because Song Xinyu was going abroad and the Tang family owed me a favor, right? It was a wrong marriage in the first place. I just didn't see it clearly. Now that Song Xinyu has returned, he has sent her to the island and stayed out late at night. Why is he still pretending? He wants both and more. What a scumbag behavior. A few days later, Tang Liu came to my house and I asked my bodyguard to stop her outside. "Sister-in-law, I was wrong before." She started crying when she saw me, crying very miserably. "I am so poor now, all my credit cards have been suspended." After hearing this, I was overjoyed. "I know, I've always cared about you." Tang Liu pouted and pretended to be innocent. "It's just a little trouble. How can you chase me away?" I laughed out loud. "You care about me so that I can have a conflict with your brother. Now your goal has been achieved." Tang Lira was stunned. I sighed. "This poor child doesn't know yet, right? She and Song Xinyu have been secretly communicating for a long time. When she was shopping with me, she didn't even bother to clean up the interface of the chat software. Sister Xinyu has been very prominent in my contacts recently. In addition, when she interacts with me on a daily basis, she praises me on the surface, but in fact she is secretly belittling me. The worst thing is that they tried to sow discord between us and make me cheat on my wife. Overall, This is not the behavior a sister-in-law should have. Fortunately, she often got into trouble both inside and outside of school. Later, she wrote my name on the family contact list and deliberately asked me to clean up the mess for her. Thanks to her action, the Dean of Studies was able to call me and report on her recent situation at school. I walk to school, I don't have money to show off, and my clothes are old-fashioned. These problems, which seem not to be a problem to ordinary people, are so serious that they are willing to take Tang Lewis' life. She used to look down on everyone at school, but now she is the one being excluded. I heard that she had been having a hard time in school recently, so I felt pity for her and refused to pay her tuition for the new school year. If you can't make it in school, then don't go, cut off her pocket money, cancelled her credit card, and forced her to be self-reliant. This is what I should do for her as her sister-in-law. Tang Lewis' phone beeped with a text message. She looked down and then screamed, "Is the school asking me to pay the tuition? You can't do this to me. Those people in school will laugh at me." "Yes," I smiled happily. "Go find your ideal sister-in-law and pay the tuition. If you are late, you will miss out on school." Tang Lewis stomped his feet in anger, turned around and ran away. One sunny morning, I felt a vague urge to vomit. Counting the days, it has been almost 2 months since I found out I was pregnant. The group's board of directors called at this time. "MS. Lou, what do you think of our cooperation with the Song family?" "Song family? Isn't that Song Shinyu? It's not a good idea, let's reject it." I suppressed my discomfort and said, "Don't invest in the Song family anymore." In name, it was a collaboration between the two families, but in reality, the Song family took money from the Tang group to start their own business. I've looked at the cooperation catalog, and it's full of fancy names, not many serious industries. This amount of money is nothing to Tang. It's too much to do whatever you want just because Tang Xinian is the boss. Song Shinyu lost her patience and went to Tang Group the day after the cooperation ended. The company had some documents that needed my signature, and I bumped into her head-on. I greeted her cheerfully. "MS. Song, what's up? I just remembered that the cooperation has ended." She frowned and glared at me, looking very unhappy. "Lu Yiqian, you have no right to ask. Where is Xin Yan? I want to see him. If she doesn't have the qualifications, then who does?" Tang Xinian appeared behind me. I listened to my wife in everything. I learned that Tang Xinian was on a business trip today, so I was willing to come to the company. "Why hasn't he left yet?" "You," Song Shinue's face flushed red. "Xin Yan, are you sacrificing yourself for the sake of your family business? How can she be worthy of someone like you?" This also aroused my curiosity. Could it be that Tang Xinian was afraid that I would take away the family property, so he firmly refused to agree to the divorce? Tang Xinian looked calm and nodded seriously. "That's right, so decisive. Without my wife, I have nothing." Tang Xinian looked down at me with a gentle gaze. "So I have to listen to her and rely on her to support me. He needs someone other than himself to support him. That's really weird." I looked away and caught a glimpse of the bracelet on Song Shinue's wrist. I immediately became alert. "Miss Song, Grandma wrote in her will that this bracelet was to be left to her daughter-in-law. Do you know that your behavior is stealing?" Song Shinue's eyes were a little evasive. She lowered her arm and covered the bracelet with her sleeve. "I don't understand what you are talking about. This was given to me by Mrs. Tang. As long as there is a will, this bracelet is mine." I smiled brightly. "If you don't take it from the original owner, but get it from someone else, don't you feel that it's not right to wear it?" Song Shinyu protected the bracelet with her other hand, her face stiff. "So what, if you give it to me, it's mine." "I admire your thick skin." I couldn't help but applaud. "It's like my house. My nanny gave it to you, and you really moved in and ate and drank for free." Tang Xinian next to me sneered, not caring at all that I compared my mother-in-law to a nanny. I gave the final blow. "If I give you the Forbidden City, would you dare to move in?" Song Shinyu fled in panic. Not only did she fail to get Tang to continue cooperating, she also returned the bracelet. For me, good things come in pairs. It would be better if Tang Xinian wasn't around. You still have to go on a business trip, so don't waste your time here. I walked into the office, trying to keep my distance. "Remember to sign the divorce agreement when you have time." Tang Xinian followed me closely, his eyes full of anxiety. "Yi Qian, There is a misunderstanding between us." My response was to kick him out of the office. A week later, I suddenly became the focus of gossip news. Tang family daughter-in-law was exposed for falsifying her academic qualifications. She used tricks to get into a wealthy family. When I clicked on it, I found that there was actually no substantial content. It was just a rumor that I had no ability and no background. The comment section is more interesting. After all, there is never a shortage of people laughing at things related to wealthy families. Many people wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to step on me. There is an account with a black avatar that is extremely active, and it posts crazy comments under every piece of news related to me. A wild chicken wants to be a phoenix. Lu Yiqian is not qualified to manage a company at all. If Lu Yiqian gave up her position sooner, maybe the Tang Group could survive longer. I sent this account to the company's public relations department. Half a day later, the IP address of this account was found to be in the Song family company. Behind every piece of news it comments on is a media invested by the Song family. Coincidentally, the hospital where I used to work suddenly issued an announcement. My professional photo was placed on the homepage of the hospital's website, with my name and title noted below. I clicked on the announcement and saw that it was celebrating my return to the hospital and picking up the scalpel after several years. Returning to the operating table is my biggest dream. Ever since I broke free from my disguise, I've been working hard to get back to my old job. The good news is that my hands have recovered to normal. Except for some high-precision operations that I cannot participate in for the time being, I can complete other surgical work. Now my resume can be found on the hospital's official website. Public opinion on the internet suddenly reversed, and even some patients I had treated came forward to speak for me. My major is unpopular and difficult. Due to the development of the industry in recent years, I have become a scarce talent. For a time, my reputation was extremely good. People from the celebrity circle began to come to curry favor with him. Some of them had praised Song Xinyu highly at the auction, but now they were criticizing her in front of me. I ignored any of them. Interestingly, Song Xinyu also made the news at this time. The daughter of a rich family turned out to be a jinx. She once worked for an overseas high-tech company and nearly bankrupted it. Someone contacted several overseas companies where Song Xinyu had worked in the name of employment background checks. The result was a big surprise. Each company gave a very harsh and severe evaluation, listing Song Xinyu as poor work ability, dereliction of duty and other problems. The worst thing was that an important project was messed up, causing the company's capital chain to be cut off and almost bankrupt. This news caused an uproar on the internet. Song Xinyu has always been known to the outside world as a young lady with an excellent resume. Everyone knew that she went abroad for further studies and joined a large local company after graduation. Because of her excellent abilities, she was repeatedly poached by headhunters and moved to many well-known companies. Now it seems that it's all just character packaging. Just when I thought Song Xinyu was finished, an even more explosive news was released online. Does anyone still remember the island that the eldest son of the Tang family bought? The owner of the island is not Song Xinyu at all. The registered name is clearly Lu Yiqian. A screenshot of the island's registration information is also included below. My name is clearly written in the column for asset owner. When I stepped onto the beach of the island, it just felt unreal. The investigation results showed that I have always been the owner of the island and it has never changed. Tang Xinian stood not far away, with the corners of his lips raised, looking at me leisurely. He seemed to have known I would come here. I wanted to make this as a honeymoon gift, but I was too busy with work and didn't have time to tell you about this surprise. I was furious and threw my backpack at him. You make half as much money as I do. Isn't it like I'm buying myself a gift by buying this island? Why buy an island? I only come here a few times a year. What a waste of money. Tang Xinian shrugged indifferently, smiling. It's more than that. You've lost a lot. What else? I am yours in my entirety. You have essentially purchased this island in full. This is the first time I have heard such irritating love words. I didn't want to forgive him. Why don't you go find your white moonlight? Song Xinyu is having a terrible time right now. Tang Xinian's eyes were filled with helplessness. Why are you looking for her? I was not convinced. Why are you pretending? You always say you are busy with work and you can't even spend time with me on our wedding anniversary. As soon as Song Xinyu returns to China, you have time. You attend the homecoming banquet and personally give gifts. No, a look of grievance appeared on Tang Xinyan's face. The Song family notified me of the repatriation banquet early on. There's nothing wrong with welcoming someone we know. The banquet itself is also a business interaction within the industry. As for the gift, I don't know what it was all chosen by the assistant. If he says yes, then it is. I was wavering. Tang Xinyan approached me, and while he looked at my face, he tentatively took my hand. I'm wrong about our anniversary. I've always been busy with business trips and work, so I've neglected you. But every time I choose a gift, it's always carefully selected by me. On the contrary, you always give me ties. Isn't that too perfunctory? When he said that, it occurred to me that every anniversary gift was indeed very much to my liking, and the ties I gave him seemed to be the ones he often wore. To be honest, I softened my heart, but I don't intend to forgive him just like that. You and Song Xinyu stayed out all night. How could I? Tang Xinyan was stunned. You mean, he pulled me into his arms and without waiting for me to resist, he put his cell phone in front of me. The lock screen and desktop were all filled with my photos. And I felt my cheeks warm up. Tang Xinyan opened someone's circle of friends and scrolled down to the day when he did not come home in the middle of the night. I saw a group photo including Tang Xinyan and Song Xinyu. There were nearly 20 people in the photo. Old classmates get together. We are all night owls who often work overtime. Tang Xinyan clicked on the photos one by one to show me. We agreed to have dinner together after overtime, but ended up playing a little late. I went home after the party that day, but you were not there. That day, I didn't go home after leaving the car accident scene. Instead, I researched which bodyguard company nearby was the most reliable. In order to avoid Tang Lois' continued phone harassment, I chose to turn off my phone and only turned it on at dawn to take people to the ancestral home. Now that I think about it, I seem to be the one who didn't come home all night. And this, have you seen it? Tang Xinyan reminded me to look at my phone. There is a piece of news on the mobile page. The content is that the Song family was exposed to have deficits in their own industries and attracted investment by falsifying accounts, until the recent explosion, which harmed many cooperative guarantors. At present, all the people involved in the case of the Song family have been arrested according to law, and Song Xinyu appears on the list. At the end of the news, it was mentioned that Tang Group was the most powerful party providing evidence and received official praise. I almost thought I was seeing things. Tang Xinyan hugged me tightly and let out a long sigh. Song Xinyu shouldn't have set her sights on me, and she shouldn't have let you suffer any injustice. I didn't intend to do anything too radical, but after finding out why you wanted to divorce me, I thought some things had to be done to the end. I looked up at him and said, "Aren't you angry when you saw me being so ruthless to Mom and Loa?" Tang Xinyan's eyes lit up, full of admiration. "I'm very busy and usually can't always be home to help you. I'll only be pleased if you're willing to show your claws, and I know that you often use small tricks to discipline me. You appear to be well behaved on the surface, but your eyes are filled with cunning that cannot be hidden." Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh. Tang Xinyan suddenly picked me up and held me sideways, his eyes full of affection. "It's been a long time since I held you to sleep. Why don't we take this opportunity to make up for our honeymoon?" I felt nauseous and frantically gestured for him to put me down. He was startled, and gently put me on the beach, holding my hand nervously. "Let's continue to postpone the honeymoon." After I felt more comfortable, I said, "Although it's a little late, I still want to congratulate you. You're going to be a father." Tang Xinyan was dumbfounded. I saw his ears and cheeks gradually turning red. It's not that Tang Xinyan doesn't like children, he just feels too busy at work. I can't even complete my honeymoon, let alone raise a child. Every time his wife mentioned it with expectant eyes, he struggled with whether to agree. When I think of my wife being alone at home pregnant and raising a baby, or even raising a child alone in the future, he felt that this was not the responsibility of a husband and father. From the first time he saw Lu Yiqian, to the time when Lu Yiqian was injured for him, his pounding heart told him that this was the girl he wanted to marry. It's just that he doesn't know how to get along with girls and is not good at expressing himself. My previous liking for Song Shin-yu was too superficial, as it was based on the combination of our two family businesses. Although he felt that Song Shin-yu's going abroad was a bit sudden, he did not feel any reluctance. After meeting Liu Yiqian, I realized that this relationship was completely different from before. After a few years of smooth marriage, a special tacit understanding was formed between him and his wife. The relationship between the two people is not very close, but they put each other first. The only thing that worries him is his mother and sister at home. Fortunately, Liu Yiqian didn't really allow herself to be bullied. After the farce ended, God gave him a big gift. The moment he heard that he was going to be a father, he felt that the world suddenly had more colors. His wife, Liu Yiqian, looks particularly brilliant in these colors. The Tang family's mother and daughter suffered psychological trauma from Liu Yiqian. Tang Liu cried to her brother, "It's all Song Shinua's fault. She promised me that if I could let her replace my sister-in-law, she would introduce me to a big company as a manager." He reached the peak of his life right after graduation, and what's more important is that he didn't work in his own company, which indirectly proved that he didn't use any backdoor connections through his family. Isn't this much more respectable than those losers in school? Tang Xinian lacked patience with his sister and was indifferent to these words. Recently, his wife had a real moment of relenting, taking into account Mrs. Tang's advanced age. They moved to a slightly larger house for the mother and daughter, and set aside a portion of their living expenses from the company's dividends every month. You can forget about the luxurious life you used to live, but at least you don't have to worry about food and drink. Mrs. Tang was angry but dared not say anything. She tried several times to speak ill of her daughter-in-law to her son, but was rejected by Tang Xinian every time. "Mom, Yi Qian never says a bad word about you in front of me. If you want to say something bad about her, then don't say it, I won't listen." Now it is by Yue Guang who enjoys it first. Na was like shooting oneself in the foot, and Mrs. Tang was very angry, seeing that she was not convinced. Tang Xinian thought for a moment and added, "By the way, Mom, I can tell you something you don't know. Yishi had a stepmother before, when she married into the family. She always wanted to intimidate her by pouring ice water on her whenever she had the chance. Yishi was only 8 years old at the time, and she was able to lock her stepmother in an ice cellar for a whole day and night. When she was 13, her stepmother was unwilling to give up and deliberately threw her to the mountains to watch snakes. The next day, her stepmother's bed was full of snakes. The last time, her stepmother secretly changed her college application and was caught by Yi Shi. She personally replaced her stepmother. Mrs. Tang was shocked, and her fear increased a lot. You always knew that she was not as well behaved as she seemed. Tang Xinian raised the corners of his lips. "I told you from the beginning. Don't mess with her. She showed some mercy to you because of me." There's a comment from a host I admire a lot. "Hold a stick and face the sun, Mom. You still don't understand Yi Qian. She holds a stick to protect herself from wolves, and does not use it to hurt people because she is kind-hearted. You can't ask her not to hold a stick in this house. After all, she has tolerated it for too long." He was too busy with work, and sometimes when she encountered problems, he couldn't help her fight back immediately. But he knew that his wife had always been someone who had the ability to fight back, and he only needed to stand behind her and silently support all her decisions, even if it means making the whole world your enemy.